Recently, I've been seeing this mobile game ad a lot, and I don't know about you, but boy is it annoying. So an idea came to mind, a really stupid one in fact. I thought, hey, why not remake this game, but even worse? So this is how I made this weird mobile game in a week. Before anything, first thing I did was install the game to my phone, and because of that, I think my phone actually hates me now. I mean, have you seen this game? It's all jokes, please don't sue me. I opened it up, played the game a bit, played a couple of levels, just to see how the game plays and feels. And then I took 3 main levels that I was gonna recreate, and then drew sketches of these levels. I fired up Unity, but then I remembered a crucial part in game making, the art. And I have said this so many times in previous videos, but I suck at making art. So I scoured Google looking for some free game assets. I wanted the first level to be a recreation of this level, so I looked for a Boulder asset online, found one on Pinterest, and totally didn't just screenshot it and steal it. Like, I'm more than that, you guys. I then proceeded on to get carried away by a Blackthorn prod video, because I had the attention span of an average human. Yeah, that's actually very bad. I then opened Unity this time, made a quick level just to program in the basic opening door mechanic. This was simple. I just added an on mouse down function, made a boolean to check when you are clicking on the door, and assigned it as true, when you are clicking that is, and as false when you release the mouse button, and made the door change its position to match the mouse's position. Now we can open and close the door, but the player can't actually move though. So I made the door script talk to the player script and added a bool. So whenever the door opens at a certain position, has opened, which is the bool I assigned, gets assigned to true. And in the player script, it sees if the doors has opened boolean equals true. If it does, well, the player starts going in the right direction. I then got bored of looking at colored squares. So I found this villager sprite stored on my computer and replaced it with the current square sprite for the player. Also, it's weird, but the main character is supposed to be a king or a lord of some sort. It's weird because he's wearing villager-like clothing. I don't know, this game, I don't like it. Yeah, still no good. The game still looks like a piece of shit. Then I found this asset pack on Open Game Art. It looks pretty nice too. Kudos to the person who made it actually. I set it up to play the different idle, run, and fall animations. For the door sprite, I just shamelessly copied the same sprite from the original game. Hey, I mean, like, it's a remake, what do you want me to do? I then created another door type, but this one actually moves horizontally instead of moving vertically. I just modified the same script I made for the vertical door and made a bool called invert axis x. If it's false, the door moves vertically, else if the value is set to true, the door moves horizontally. I then added this little diamond sprite from the same art pack, and now we have a working level. There still are some bugs though. And before moving on the level designing stage, I needed to fix these bugs. One of them being sometimes the player just stops moving. I think this is because the player's collider overlaps with the tile collider, so the player can't move. So I came up with a solution to this problem. There's probably an easier solution to this, but I don't know, I was just too lazy to find an easier solution. So my solution goes like this. This line checks if the timer is less than or equals 0. So basically we have a timer. If it's not equals 0, then it decreases till it reaches 0. And when it does, it checks if same position, which is a vector 3, equals the current player position, and the player is moving. Else it sets it to equal the current position. Now if you're stuck in place, this if statement should run again, and increments the counter again by 1 to equal 2. Now nested in this if statement is another if statement, to check if the counter is more than or equals to 2. If it does, which basically means if our player has been stuck in place for a while, then the player jumps up a bit, and the same pause counter returns to being 0. Inside the Boulder script, it checks if the door hasn't opened. If it hasn't opened, then the Boulder freezes its position. If the door opens, then the script removes the constraint it set, and the Boulder starts moving again in the right direction. And then after moving, it lands into this pit right here. So the player passes over the Boulder, and if the player falls into the pit, the player dies, and you have to restart the level. I then added a couple of game objects, just to maintain the level if something goes wrong. One of them being a layer that stops the boulder from damaging the player on collision. So the player can step on the boulder safely to cross, and one to stop the boulder from going where it's not supposed to. Now a game with only one level isn't really entertaining now, is it? So I had an idea for another level. I made my character have an enemy, added animations to the enemy, and made an enemy script. So the enemy follows the player when it sees the player, and when it collides with the player dies. The following player part was actually achieved by setting a raycast from the enemy's current position and going left by 2 units. I then wanted to add water and lava. Then I was like, nah, too much work. So I added this little grenade object instead. added animations to it, and made it so that when it explodes, if the enemy has collided with the explosion, the enemy dies, and the same thing for the player. And made the player change to this sprite when he dies. It made an enemy death effect using Unity's awesome Unity's particle system. Now we have 2 levels. Now for the 3rd level, I just used the same mechanics I made. I added these spikes that kill the player and the enemy on collision, and then downloaded these coin sprites from itch and added them as physics objects, and when the player collides with one of them, this animation is played. That not to brag or anything, but I actually made this animation. Yeah, I'm something of an artist myself. And after about 2 seconds of playing this animation, the player gets teleported to the next level. Currently the game is only about 4 levels and it's not even nearly finished, but if this video gets any recognition, or if I change my mind, you'll find the download link first thing in the description of this video. I make videos like these all the time, so if you like this video, check out this video on how I made a game about milk, lasers, and cats, or check out this video recommended to you by YouTube. I then actually used my 2 brain cells I have and thought, how about I change these normal white ground sprites and replace them with actually good sprites. I looked around a bit for some good sprites on itch, but didn't find what I was looking for. So I opened up a sprite and started thinking, how do I design these levels?